the moon was silent. Cold. Empty, at least. That's what everyone believed. For thousands of years, humans had explored its surface, mined its rocks, and built research stations. But no one had ever gone deep beneath it. Not until now. Dr. Ellen Ward, a young human xenoarchaeologist, stared at the blinking screen in front of her. A signal weak and ancient was pulsing from under the southern lunar basin. It wasn't random. It had a rhythm, a pattern. Is this Morse code? She whispered to herself. Her fingers flew over the control panel. The signal repeated the same phrase over and over again. We are not the first. Chills ran down her spine. Her team, a small group of scientists and engineers, had been sent by the Terran Union to investigate seismic readings. But this was something else. Captain Reyes, Ellen called through the comms. We found something. It's under the surface about 2 kilometers deep. More rocks? Reyes said, half joking from the surface outpost. No, signal old, very old, and it's human. There was silence on the other end. Within 2 hours, the drilling unit was activated. Dust filled the air as machines pierced the cold crust. What they discovered made every scientist freeze in place. Door. A metal door, buried under solid lunar stone. Covered in carvings that shimmered faintly in their suit's lights. The metal wasn't from Earth. It didn't match any known element. Is this alien tech? Asked Juno, the team's engineer. Ellen stepped closer. Oh, it's not alien. Look at this writing. It was English. Old English. Carved into the surface with precision. To protect what was lost. Sleep in silence. No one spoke for a full minute. Then the door opened on its own. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. The chamber was massive, carved like a cathedral. Giant murals covered the walls, each telling a story, but not of aliens. No, these showed humans with golden armor and glowing, ice-fighting massive beasts. Flying ships between stars, building planets. This isn't possible, Ellen said, her voice shaking. It's like a memory of something that never happened. They moved deeper into the chamber. In the center was a round platform with a single orb. As Ellen approached it, her comms fizzled. Lights flickered. The orb glowed on, then touched her mind. Suddenly her eyes widened. She saw visions, flashes of ancient cities made of crystal and fire, massive ships the size of moons, and a human empire that ruled the stars. A voice echoed inside her skull. You are the spark. The memory must return. She stumbled back, breathing hard. I saw ... everything. What did you see? Captain Reyes asked, worried. Double quotes us. We were ... more. Long ago. The galaxy knew our name. Juno shook. His head, that's not history. That's science fiction. And why is it under our moon? Ellen snapped. Why is it calling out to us now? Before anyone could respond, the orb pulsed again and sent a wave of data across human networks. Satellites picked it up. Earth received it, and so did others. Far away, in deep space, an alien vessel paused. Its pilot, a species older than time, stared at the signal. They've found it, the alien whispered. The humans have awakened the past. Back on the moon, chaos erupted in the outpost. Lights went out. A rumble shook the cave. Ellen looked up at the mural again. In the last panel, it showed Earth covered in fire and a single word carved beneath it. Forgotten, but not gone. The voice was quiet but steady as she said, We were never just survivors. We were rulers once. Something erased us, buried us. And now, she turned to her stunned team. Now, we're remembering. Asterisk, the base was quiet. Too quiet. Since the strange orb's pulse, communication with Earth had gone silent. The stars above the moon were as calm as ever, but something felt. ... Dr. Ellen Ward sat alone in the observation chamber, replaying the message again and again. We are not the first. It wasn't just a warning. It was a confession. Outside, the team worked to scan the murals more deeply. The ancient walls told stories, storable, magnificent stories. With each new image, the same truth screamed. Louder, Humanity didn't start with cavemen and wooden tools. It started with fire, war, and stars. Juno, the engineer, called out from the chamber's lower platform. "Len, you need to see this." She climbed down the old stone steps, past glowing lines carved into the walls, tech mixed with art. He pointed at a new mural. They had just cleaned off. It showed a council, not alien, human. They wore long robes and floating crowns, standing above alien ambassadors who knelt before them. Ellen's heart pounded. Double quotes this. "This shows humans ruling galactic races. And look at the date," Juno whispered. Shining his light on the symbols, she translated the ancient code aloud. 120,000 years before Earth Year Zero. That made no sense. Earth Year Zero was the start of modern human history. But this mural was saying that a human civilization, an advanced one, existed long before that. Ellen backed away, her breath catching. "Yes, we've been lied to." Suddenly, the walls trembled. The orb in the center chamber pulsed again, but this time, it didn't glow blue. It turned red. The lights in their helmets flickered. Captain Reyes shouted through the comms emergency alert. "Something's moving near the crater. Everyone back to base." As the team ran toward the surface, Ellen paused, just for a second. She turned back toward the glowing chamber one last time. That's when she noticed something. Something terrifying. Another mural was beginning to appear on the wall behind the orb. But this one was unfinished, like it had been waiting for someone to trigger it, and what it showed made her skin crawl. A human child, crying in a burning city. Alien warships, above Earth. And a phrase beneath the scene, written in the same language as the first signal, the great erasure that came to silence the flame. Reyes was already outside, holding his rifle. A dark shape loomed on the horizon. It wasn't human. An alien craft, sleek and ancient, hovered above the dust. It wasn't attacking yet, but it had come without warning, and that was enough too. Send chills through the whole team. Then a voice echoed from the ship's loudspeaker. It spoke in near-perfect English. "Do not open the vault further. The past is dangerous. The past will return. And so will war." Ellen stepped forward. "Who are you?" There was silence. Then came a reply. "A witness to your rise. And your fall." Later inside the command room, the alien was allowed entry under armed watch. He called himself Carzel, a historian from a race known as the Terex Keepers of Galactic Memory. He didn't look angry. He looked afraid. "You were never supposed to remember," he said quietly. Reyes slammed his hand on the table. "Why? What did we do?" "You didn't just conquer worlds," Carzel said, trembling. "You created weapons that bent time. You controlled suns. You brought empires to their knees. And when the others grew afraid, they joined forces and erased us," Ellen finished. Carzel nodded. "It took millions of lives, but even then we could not kill you all. So, we made the galaxy forget, buried your cities, burned your records. Even Earth was reset." Juno stared at him. "But why lie for so long? Why keep us like children in the dark?" "Because," Carzel said, voice shaking, "if humans remember who they were, the galaxy will burn again." Silence filled the room. Ellen slowly looked up at the moon's ceiling, whispering, "We're not the newcomers." Reyes leaned forward. "We're the survivors." "No," Carzel corrected. "You are the descendants of gods." Carzel did not sleep. The alien historian sat alone in the lunar outpost's quiet chamber, his eyes scanning the old star maps, glowing faintly on his portable holoslate. But his hands were shaking. He was afraid, not of the humans standing guard outside, but of what they might become. He whispered to himself in his native tongue, "The fire returns. And the stars will remember." Meanwhile, Ellen Ward couldn't rest either. Her mind kept replaying Carzel's words. "Are the descendants of gods?" It didn't feel like praise. It felt like a warning. She stood before the old mural again, tracing the image of a human army holding back monstrous alien beasts with strange glowing weapons. She noticed something odd. One of the generals in the mural looked human, just like them, But his eyes glowed, and beneath him were the words, "The firstborn shall awaken the stars." Her breath caught. Was that just art, or a prophecy? Wait, still looking at ghosts? Came a voice behind her. It was Captain Reyes, holding 2 metal cups of synthetic coffee. Ellen took one and nodded. These ghosts changed everything we thought we knew. Reyes sipped his drink and frowned. I don't like that alien, he knows. Too much. Talks like a priest hiding a secret. Ellen stared at the mural. That's because he's not afraid of what we'll find. He's afraid we'll remember who we are. In the command center, the rest of the team gathered for Karzal's first full briefing. The alien historian stood before the central holoprojector. His voice was soft, but steady. Long before your Earth wrote its first myth, humans spread across this galaxy. You were faster, smarter, and more determined. He looked around, then continued. At first, the galaxy celebrated your rise. You brought order, trade, peace. But peace is just a breath between storms. The hologram changed now, showing enormous battlefields, human ships blotting out stars, alien cities burning under orbital strikes. When challenged, you did not bend. Created weapons that broke time. You enslaved dying suns to power. Your fleets. Everyone stared in horror. Juno swallowed. You're saying we were monsters? Karzal nodded. Not monsters, kings. But even kings fall when the whole kingdom rises against them. He turned off the projection. We could not kill you. So we buried your story. Earth became a blank slate, your knowledge scattered. Only the moon remembered. Reyes stood, arms crossed. So why warn us now? Why come here? Karzal paused, then reached into his robes. He pulled out a small cube pulsing with a soft red light. Because someone, something, has awakened. And not by accident. He placed the cube on the table. The orb beneath the moon had called out, not just to humans, but to those still loyal to the old blood, the old human systems. The ancient ones hidden in dark space, they're waking up. Alon's voice was barely a whisper. Are they alive? No, but their machines are. Just then the base shook slightly. Seismic activity? Someone asked. Reyes checked the console. No, this is external. A landing nearby. Outside, a ship was descending. But it wasn't from the Terran Union. It bore no known flag. Its hull was dark. Made from a living metal that seemed to shimmer as it breathed. The team armed themselves. Quickly, but Karzal stepped between them and the view screen. Lower your weapons. That ship belongs to the Keepers of Silence. The what? Ellen asked. They are sworn to erase all traces of the First Empire. If they're here, they know your memories have returned. The ship opened, 6 tall. Figures emerged, draped in black robes, with glowing red visors and no visible mouths. They didn't speak. They simply pointed at the humans, and then at the moon, and one of them drew a symbol in the lunar dust, Elend. It was the same symbol from the mural, the one beneath the general's feet. They know who you are, Karzal whispered. They've come to stop what's coming. But what is coming? Reyes asked. Karzal finally said the words he had been avoiding, the awakening of your true inheritance. Your ships, your armies, your empire. He turned toward Ellen. You might be the firstborn. Asterisk. The dust on the moon stirred softly beneath their boots. But the silence in the chamber was heavier than gravity. The symbol drawn by the keeper glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ellen didn't blink. Her chest tightened. The symbol wasn't just a marquette, was responding to her. Each beat matched her own. Faster, louder, like the moon was breathing with her. Karzal stepped forward, pale beneath his layered robes. It's begun, he whispered. The system recognizes you. Captain Reyes raised his rifle. Recognizes her as what, exactly? Not a person, Karzal said. Iki. Suddenly, the stone floor beneath them cracked without warning. A blast of soft golden light burst through, lifting dust into a swirl of ancient particles. The ground shifted as hidden doors opened downward, revealing spiral steps made of white. Metal. The keepers did not move. They watched, like statues. Ellen's body moved on its own. Something inside her pulled her feet toward the stairs. "Wait, Ellen, don't!" Juno shouted, but it was already too late. She was descending into the heart of the moon. The team followed quickly, weapons drawn. Carcel behind them, breathing heavily, beneath the lunar surface. The staircase spiraled into a massive vault, circular, metallic, humming with invisible energy. Ellen stood at its center above her. Floating midair was a vast star map, ancient, interactive and alive. Hundreds, thousands of red dots hovered in a rotating cluster, wanting Earth. One by one, they turned blue. Juno gasped. "What is this?" Ellen stared up, her eyes wide. I think these are worlds." Carcel nodded slowly. "They are." He stepped into the center ring, hands shaking. "These are the lost colonies of the First Empire, all connected by forgotten gates, sealed away when the old humans fell. And now they are waking." Captain Reyes whispered, "This is a network." "More than that," Carcel said, his voice hollow. "It's a crown." The star map flared brighter. One of the planets zoomed forward, locked in the display. A planet called YR-RAN-3. A flashing note appeared beside it. "Genetic key detected, primary gate ready." Suddenly, the entire vault trembled. Not from an attack. From activation, the old system had recognized something buried deep in Ellen's DNA, a strand untouched by modern human evolution. Something ancient. A signal was being broadcast now, far beyond the moon. Up in space, the keepers moved. They entered their ship. No words, no threats. But before leaving, they sent a final message to the human outpost. One line. "The gates must remain closed, or the flames will rise again." Then they vanished into the black. Back in the vault, Ellen was trembling. "Why me?" Carcel stood quietly. "Because you carry the spark. We're a descendant of the Imperium's last bloodline. The code sleeps in your bones." She looked at her hands. "But I'm just a scientist." "Exactly," Carcel said, stepping closer. "You think? You ask? You wonder? That's what the old ones did before they ruled." The room dimmed again. One final system opened. A pillar rose from the floor, shaped like a tree made of glass. Within it, a seed-like object glowed. The hologram identified it. Celestial Core Command Seed. Reyes stared at it. "What's it for?" Ellen stepped toward it. As her hand hovered near, her veins lit up faintly, pulsing with the same glow. "It's not for war," she said, surprising herself. "It's for control." "Control of what?" Suddenly, -ping.a. Signal flashed across the star map. Another planet blinked to life. Then another, and another. One by one. Ancient systems across the galaxy were coming online. Their lights created a trailerpath, a forgotten road back to the stars. Juno stepped back, whispering, "Do you realize what this means? If we follow this trail?" Ellen nodded slowly. "We might rediscover every lost part of humanity's empire." Reyes gritted his teeth. "And every enemy that wanted it buried will be waiting." Carcel's voice was grave. "You must choose, Ellen. Open the gates, ... and risk war. Or bury the truth again." She stared into the glowing map, into humanity's past, and maybe its future. Her voice was calm but firm. "We go forward." The first world to blink awake was Miron 3. Its ancient orbital systems lit up for the first time in over 100,000 years. Shield satellites spun back online. Defense platforms stretched like sleeping giants. And below the surface, something massive began to stir beneath the ground. A forgotten city, buried, sealed, and now awakening from the edge of known space. Ships from dozens of alien civilizations watched in horror as the old human signal spread like wildfire. The maps they used, the star charts rewritten after the fall now, began to show new systems, old systems, red systems, human systems. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Panicked voices echoed inside the floating chamber. They've activated the star map. It's the moon vault. They broke the seal. The human core is waking. One voice, low and ancient, silenced the room. A six-eyed elder from the Asher Dominion stood slowly.
Oh.
Species once feared the first. Humans, you forget how lucky we were that they chose to fall silent. If they rise again, there may be no stopping what comes next. Back on the moon, Ellen stood inside the command vault, staring at the galaxy-wide ripple she had just triggered. One planet after another was responding to her presence. The signal was reaching far beyond what current human ships could travel. And it wasn't just showing locations, it was giving her access codes. Every system is still waiting for us, she whispered. Carzel nodded slowly, not waiting, sleeping. Captain Reyes stepped up beside her. We need to think before we move. We don't know what's out there. Ellen turned to him. We do know. She walked to the console, tapped the interface, and brought up a new set of files unlocked only after the celestial core synced with her DNA. The holograms showed old recordings, real ones, humans. Commanding fleets the size of moons, alien kings bowing galaxies being divided by human council. Members like it was normal. Juno whispered in disbelief they were gods. ... Carzel didn't move. No worse. They were humans without limits. Suddenly, a new warning flashed across the map. Unidentified hostile signature approaching. Lunar Obiteth's screen zoomed in. An enormous ship was arriving. Not alien, not human, something else. What is that? Reyes demanded. Carzel's face went pale. It's one of the old wipe engines. It's programmed to destroy anything that reactivates the human cores. But that's a machine from our past, Juno said. Carzel nodded. You created it. To erase yourselves. The signal was clear. The wipe engine had detected a reboot of the human empire. It's a I would not negotiate. It would purge. Everyone froze. The countdown to orbital strike had begun. 10 minutes 9:59. ... ELEN turned to Reyes. We need to stop it. We have the control codes, right? Even if we did, Reyes said. The thing is planet killer class. They'll glass this base before. We can launch a message. Carzel suddenly looked at Ellen and knelt. Everyone stared. What are you doing? She asked. You are the key, the core. You are no longer a researcher. You are an heir of command. You must speak to it. A hidden platform rose behind the Volta, throne-like command seat with symbols, glowing in patterns only Ellen could understand. She walked toward it, hesitating only once. Then she sat. The moment her skin touched the interface, the air changed. The vault pulsed with ancient energy. The star map froze, then folded inward. Now, only one thing was shown. The wipe engine. Ellen spoke softly. System, recognize. Override command, Flameborn protocol. A loud hum echoed through the base. The wipe engine paused in orbit. It responded. Identity matched. Firstborn authority, CIO and FIR, meet everyone. Stared. The countdown stopped. The threat was neutralized, and a new message appeared across the vault walls. Core recognized. Empire reboot in process. Reyes exhaled slowly. You just stopped an extinction machine by sitting down. Lon's voice trembled. I didn't stop it. I activated the next phase. The lights in the vault dimmed. Again, new pathways on the star map lit up. This time, not in blue, in gold. Those are the legacy sites, Carzel said. Weapons, technologies, world forges. All lost after your fall, Ellen whispered, and now found again, far across the stars. Hundreds of ancient beacons lit up, broadcasting one word in every known language. Humanity returns. Asterisk, the. Stars looked the same, but everything had changed. On Earth, Luna and the outer colonies. Old satellites began transmitting a forgotten signal, one that hadn't echoed through space in 100 millennia. Core reboot confirmed. Bloodline detected, Flameborn active. At first no one understood what it meant, but then people began to feel it. In a quiet recovery ward on Luna Base, Dr. Adrian Vale, a young biologist who had been injured during the excavation quake, stirred from his coma. His vitals had flatlined minutes earlier. The nurses had stepped away to report his death. But now, he was sitting upright, breathing deep, eyes glowing faintly with an amber shimmer. The room lights flickered as the biometric scanners around him failed to register his vitals. He tore off the wires, stood slowly and looked at his own reflection. "Why do I remember stars I've never seen?" Back in the moon vault, Ellen gasped, holding her chest as a strange warmth spread through her body. Her fingers twitched involuntarily. She felt stronger, sharper, like her mind had been cracked open and filled with something massive. She looked down at her arm, the veins. Beneath her skin glowed faintly gold for just a moment. Carzel was watching, quiet, pale. "It's begun," said Captain Reyes. Frowned. "What's begun?" Carzel turned to him, voice hollow. "The reawakening of the first blood. The final defense of the old empire was not in ships or weapons. It was in people. Seeded bloodlines, quiet sleepers, carriers of dormant power." He looked at Ellen. "And now that she has awakened the core, all flame-born across the galaxy will feel the call." On Mars, in the red sands, a girl collapsed in the middle of a dust storm and rose seconds later with glowing palms, screaming, in a voice not her own. On Earth, a child in a hospital bed began sketching alien star maps he'd never seen. On a prison asteroid, man broke free of his restraints, not with strength, but with a wave of light that made the walls melt all over. The galaxy, they were rising in the command vault. Systems began to flash. Alerts, new genetic markers, new locations. Map unfolded, dozens of dots appearing where sleeper bloodlines had been hiding. It's unknowingly among normal humans for generations, and they were waking up. Reyes looked at Ellen. "This is spreading. It's not just me," she said, clutching. "The armrest. I thought I was the key, but I'm just one of many." Carzel was shaking now, his voice trembling with ancient fear. This was the nightmare the galaxy tried to forget. When the first humans fell, we thought their bodies were destroyed, but their bloodlines were hidden, placed in stasis, or bred into normal populations. He turned to the vault's console and pointed to a data entry. This wasn't a war machine, it was a reseeding protocol, designed to restore the Empire once enough keys were alive again, Reyes whispered. "You mean this was planned? Planned, calculated, timed, and it's now active." Outside the vault, Adrian Valva reawakened. Scientist arrived, walking slowly, drawn by a signal only he could hear. His eyes locked with Ellen's, and without a word, they remembered each other. But they had never met before. Yet in their minds, memories returned. Memories of standing side by side in golden armor, commanding fleets, holding the line. Against darkness, they weren't memories they had lived. They were memories encoded in their genes. Adrian dropped to one knee. Not in weakness, in recognition. "Flameborn recognizes Flameborn," he said, "and the Empire lives." Ellen didn't know whether to cry or scream, but she nodded, and then the vault floor began to shift. A final piece of the system unlocked. Legacy vessels on Linea. Large display rose from the floor. Massive ships, hidden in deep voids, buried in starless. Systems each bearing the same insignia. A burning star held in a human hand. Juno stared. What? What are those?" Carcel's voice was barely audible. Sovereign-class arcs. Ships that ruled sectors. Weapons that were so powerful, the galaxy built entire religions just to forget them. Ellen turned slowly to her team. "We have to reach them before others do. Before someone tries to shut us down again." Reyes nodded. "You think they'll try?" A new alert popped up on the screen. Multiple alien fleets had just launched from nearby sectors. "They were coming," Carzel whispered. "They already have." Across the galaxy, night fell in places where night was never meant to be. Dozens of fleet Salian, ancient desperate launched from hidden strongholds. The mission was clear: stop the Flameborn, destroy the legacy, bury the past again. Debt. This time, the past was ready. Inside the moon vault, Ellen stood on the elevated platform, her body glowing faintly with power she no longer feared. Around her, projections of the Sovereign-class arcs rotated in the air. Each ship, a remnant of the old human empire, larger than cities, capable of reshaping worlds. "Can they fly?" Reyes asked, voice tight. Ellen didn't answer. She raised her hand. The console responded instantly, scanning her DNA again and displaying a single word: authority, uncontested. In deep space, far beyond Luna. Black voids began to shimmer, and then one by one the ancient arcs rose from their slumber. Some emerged from oceans, some from within collapsed stars, others from beneath entire moons. They were beautiful, terrifying, alive, and they moved not with engines, but with will. Adrian Vale watched from the observation window. His memories from a time he never lived still whispered inside him. "We didn't lose the war last time," he said softly. "We ended it." By ending ourselves, Reyes turned toward him. "We return," Adrian said, "but not as conquerors." But the galaxy didn't wait for speeches. The first alien fleet arrived above the moon, crimson ships from the Zern Collective. Dozens strong, heavily armed. A broadcast followed, cold and commanding. "Surrender. Your command and the Flameborn. Deactivate the vault, or be reduced to dust." Inside the base, alarms screamed. Ellen stood tall. "No," she said calmly. Reyes grinned. "I was hoping you'd say that." Ellen reached toward the console. "Connect me to all Sovereign-class vessels." A pause, then a response. "Connected." She closed her eyes and felt them. The ships were like sleeping beasts finally recognizing their queen. "Defensive formation," she said. "Prepare for retaliation." No, civilian harm. The ships obeyed. No hesitation. No delay. Above the moon, stars blinked out as the arcs arrived. Massive, silent, glowing like fire-forged gods. The Zern fleet wavered. Their ships panicked, trying to reposition. But it was too late. The lead arc unfolded its arms, massive wings of light, and fired. One pulse, no explosions. Just silence. And then, nothing remained of the attackers. Across the stars, the message spread faster than light. The sovereign arcs have returned. The Flameborn lead. The Empire breathes again. Entire governments went silent. Some screamed, others kneeled, a few prepared to fight, but all understood one thing clearly. Humanity was no longer a ghost in the dark. It had become a flame in the void again. Carzel watched from the vault, his eyes wide, voice like a whisper. "I spent my life studying your fall. Now I live to see your return." Ellen turned to him. "Will your people resist?" Carcel bowed his head. "Some will, but the wise ones will remember the old truth." She waited. He looked up. "It is better to walk beside the Flameborn than to stand against them." Back on Earth, world leaders watched in shock as the moon lit up like a second sun. The old nations that had once divided humanity now stared together at the same truth. There was no more Earth Alliance. No more Union Council. There was only humanity reborn. A message appeared across every human screen. We were never meant to be small. We were never meant to forget. The stars remember us, and now we remember them. Ellen walked alone into the core chamber one last time. She touched the floating celestial seed, and it pulsed warmly. "Where do we go from here?" Reyes asked from behind. She smiled faintly, not looking back. "Home," he frowned. "Earth is home." "No," she said, turning. "Earth is where we started, but our home is out there. It's the Sovereign." Arcs moved silently into the black void, forming their armada. The stars seemed to shift, like they, too, were bending in respect to something greater than time. The galaxy trembled not from war, but from memory. The Flameborn had returned. And, this time, they were awake.